Hey, welcome in to another Mystery Fifth Hour. It is presented, as always, by our friends at McCurry Van Car Rental. I was out the other day. I was in the Trussville area. I stopped at a convenience store, and one of their big vans came up that had McCurry painted on the side. It's like a moving van size, you know what I'm talking about? So I didn't even know that was part of their deal there, but it said McCurry on the side.
Did you give him a wink and he was just like, I have no idea what that guy's doing?
I was like, hey, Mystery Fifth Hour, man.
All right, buddy.
All right. Another guy panhandling. If you need a car, van, or truck, rent from McCurry Van Car Rental, the local rental company you can depend on. All kinds of vehicles. See, I should have known it where it said all kinds of vehicles to choose from, including trucks, SUVs, passenger vans. They make it easy to rent. They get you in and out fast. They got Athens, Muscle Shoals, Huntsville, and Coleman right there on 2nd Avenue Northwest. Reserve that rental today, 256-559-1003 or McCurryRentals.com. That's 256-559-1003 or McCurryRentals.com. James Dunaway Jr.
No need to introduce me. Old enough that
the people know.
The people know.
Do you wish people still called you Junior?
it's a great way to separate people that knew me
Pre-fame?
before college and after college.
No, it was in college too.
Pre-Emmy.
I've had some Montebello people
I know.
call you Junior.
Yeah, that's what I meant. College and before, and then after college.
Right.
Like I was junior. Started off with James in elementary school because you had to
Way too formal for you.
had to put your official name in.
Oh, James.
So junior at the ballpark always, and then in college got some girl my freshman year started calling me JR instead of Junior.
Thought you were going to do a joke there.
And then that hung on.
Yeah, because you didn't want her to call you Junior, right?
JR. Was that because of Dallas, you think, or?
Dallas
She
was
was
in the 70s.
She was role playing.
I would just write Junior
about
and JR.
oil.
I never wrote Junior out.
Yeah.
So it was always JR.
Yeah. So, and y'all will make fun of this, I'm sure, but my whole life up until I moved here was Rhino. In high school, any Ryan, gets called Rhino.
Yeah, I call Jack's best friend Rhino.
Yeah. So I was Rhino, like anybody in Calhoun County, that's all they called me. And Herb Winches actually started calling me Brownie. And that has become kind of my Birmingham.
I think I would like Rhino better. Can we work that in every now and then?
Start tomorrow.
Rhino.
Rhino.
Yeah. My dad will, to this day, will still call me Rhino. Hey, Rhino. My dad says that. He said that a million times.
Only when you've done something right or he's in a good mood.
That's true.
If you've done something wrong, what do you call
My dad's almost always in a good mood, but if I'd done something wrong, I knew it, but I really don't remember him calling me something.
Would he go all three middle name?
That was more my mom. My mom would do that, yeah. My dad didn't go middle name a whole lot. And I'll tell you, son. If I got a son, if I got that, I know I'd done something wrong.
Your dad wants you to see him in his study, and you go to his study, and if he had his reading glasses on and a dip in his mouth, you're in some shit. Sit down.
Such a random combination that you had a study, but you were dipping in that study.
Yeah,
We didn't have a study.
Yeah, it didn't.
No, he just had a desk. It was basically his room to look at documents and stuff like that. But your dad wants to see please don't have a dip in your mouth.
A dip in his mouth. So if your old man had, was it Copenhagen?
No, it was Kodiak, and that means he's pissed.
Wait, what did you ever do to get in trouble?
Oh, grades were awful. I did a little shtick where I worked my ass off to be on the 7th grade basketball team. I didn't make it. Did it again, double timed it for the 8th grade team, didn't make it. 9th grade team.
You got called in for the study for that?
Yeah,
You're a loser. You're a fucking loser.
They had a tryout in 9th grade, and I half-assed it, and there was a camp that you do that would really help you to make on the team, and I just didn't care, so I just went straight home. A friend of mine, whose brother was 16, took me home, because I was 15 at the time, and my dad came home and was like, how was camp? I was like, it's good, it's good. And he found out I didn't
So that's
go.
lying, though. That has nothing to do with basketball. That's just lying.
That's
to
right. You were telling
Yeah, well, that's what you said.
truth.
What am I getting in trouble for? And then I had to. Your dad wants to see you. I was like, oh shit.
Occasionally, I didn't get disciplined a lot,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
if you ever heard your mom, it was a trailer, so I could hear everything. Your son, when she called me,
Your son, yeah.
she's telling him,
I'm disassociating myself from this altogether.
and then he would fire back with, it was never son of a bitch, it was some bitch, and which I, literally by definition of the phrase, is a shot at her.
Yeah.
And then here he would
Nobody
come.
wins in the Dunaway house.
Then here he would come.
Nobody, I've never spanked my kids, and whatever you do with your kids, I guess you do with your kids. But not only a different generation, because I remember my mom actually getting the belt out too. Did you guys?
Well, I was going to ask that. Did you like it better when she said when your dad gets home, or did you want to go ahead and get it over with and let your mom do it?
Who does stuff to say your dad's not going to do when he gets home and finds out?
Well, Dad was
That's a good
usually
point.
Chuck was usually drinking, so
Yeah,
he didn't know
I've accidentally stumbled into a scab
he
here.
just didn't know the cutoff point sometimes. But I was a little more alarmed when my mom did it because I really liked my mom when I was younger, and so it was a little more disturbing. I was kind of used to my dad.
It really, I mean, she would say, or people would say that it wasn't really the pain, it was the emotional hurt.
The emotional
that she
trauma.
was mad at you and that bothered you more than
Probably,
the
yeah.
actual whipping did.
So to finish the introductions, I'm Ryan Brown, that's Rockstar, Sean Henniger, and Lance Taylor.
Who calls you rock star other than all of us up here? Everybody now?
Random people will. None of my friends. My friends call me Big Dick. No, they call me Sean.
That's all about your personality.
No,
tell you.
I had as a child. The only the nickname I had was as a child. I would always, when I was a little boy, like 2 years old, I always say me Sean Boy. I'd always say that. I don't know why, and so my dad just started calling me SB. And every now and then he'll call me SB. There's no inspiration for it. I would just walk around and go and say me Sean Boy, me Sean Boy.
And he'd call you SB?
Yeah.
Because of that? Sean?
Even in high school, he called me that. He called me SB. What are you doing? Where are you playing tonight?
Oh,
And
SB.
but I never really had a nickname besides Rockstar.
Yeah. If you're, I want to hear Lance's nickname in a second. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you give us a thumbs up, please. And if you haven't subscribed already, we'd appreciate you doing that. All you got to do is click that subscribe button and set your alert so you know when we're live after you hit the subscribe. And we're live every day 9 to 1 on our normal daily show. And you can follow us on all social media at Next Round Live, at Next Round Live. When did you get LT?
Well, when it really stuck was a buddy of mine who passed away this past December, a guy named Mark Pyburn in Nashville. It was intramural football my freshman year at Bama, and he started calling me that.
LT. What were you before that? Just Lance?
I mean, I was LT to some, like a few, but not many. Yeah, pretty much Lance, and then
Anybody ever Sir Lancelot or anything like
That's a
that?
good one. I like that.
yeah, I got the Lancelot from a couple of people, but that was kind of an old reference. I got Lamont a little bit.
Lamont?
Lamont. Yeah, I've still got a couple of people that will call me Lamont.
Oh, wow.
Ironically, Mark, who passed away, called me Lamont more than anybody. And he's the guy that actually made the LT nickname stick. And then El Fiesta Gato.
See, that's
That
an
was
easy
one for
one
a
to
little
remember.
bit. Yeah.
Did you ever have the friend, El Fiesta Gato?
Yeah, and that got shortened to Gato.
Did you ever have the friend, though, like one of my best friends growing up, a guy named Kenny Wright, just as good a dude as you would ever meet. And we found out his actual...
Kenny Wright sounds country strong, is he?
Yeah, Kenny was country
Did
strong.
he play baseball? Because I knew a Kenny Wright that played baseball.
Where?
Been a high school baseball coach.
No, he
in
was
this
never a
area.
high school baseball coach. He went to Jacksonville State. Kenny did.
Yeah.
Kenny's a great guy, big business owner over in Anniston now. He's done very, very well for himself. And is one of my closest friends growing up. And we found out his actual first name was Walter. So from that moment on, we only called him Walter. Like nobody around us called him Kenny. So I didn't know if you had that friend. Like once you found out they had a different name.
Well, I'm surprised because my full name, and again I've said this many times, never call your kid by the second name because it gets so confusing, like with legal documents and testing and all that kind of stuff. But my name is Brandon Lance Taylor, and like everybody knew BLT, funny initials or whatever, but nobody ever called me Brandon.
Yeah.
And I don't like Brandon. I don't like Lance. Doesn't really matter.
Well, that's like another one of my friends growing up, Bart Street. His name was Malcolm Bartell, and the moment we found that out, he was Bartell the rest of his life. So
Both my kids, I say it every time you say don't call your kid's middle name. Both of mine we call middle names.
Awkward.
So later in life, they'll probably be doing a mystery 6 hour and bitching about it.
bitching about their old man.
Probably.
Yeah. Lance, you're going to get us going here today on the Mystery Fifth Hour.
Yeah,
beyond
so
just nicknames.
I came so close, and this might, by a miracle, still be able to pull this off. But the breeder we got Ladybird from is out in Alpine, Alabama, which is a long way. I didn't think it was as long as it is.
I know where Alpine is.
Is it really that long? I thought
It
was like
came up.
Down near Logan Martin, right?
Yeah. It's on
between
Logan
Pell
Martin.
City, right?
Yeah. But it's a straight up hour.
You ever
for
played
me.
Alpine Bay Golf Course
No,
back
but
in
I
the
always
day?
wanted to because I used to drive past the sign.
Yeah, Alpine Bay Golf Course. Yeah, it was supposed to be a really big, they had all these grandiose plans, and I mean, it fell apart. There were rumors that it was funded by Detroit mob money.
Wow.
Yeah, that was going to be like it was like almost like Ozark on, it was going to be a money laundering scheme. I don't know if those rumors are true, but supposedly the Detroit mob had purchased that land and they were going to build a golf development as a money laundering scheme.
Detroit mob, New York mob, who would win?
New York mob's
Chicago.
bigger. Chicago's ruthless.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, the outfit in Chicago stuff. I don't know what they call it in
Kansas
Detroit.
City.
Kansas City's is pretty ruthless.
Really?
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm in Alpine Bay. Wing Shot Kennels, I'll give them a shout out. And it was just a weird circumstance because people heard me talking about Ladybird a couple of weeks ago. And so I really want a new Vizsla, but I don't want to go through the puppy stage. So I got a link sent to me that there was a 4-year-old available for rescue. And the dude's wife, he got remarried and his wife made him give his dog away, which to me, that's a deal breaker.
You'd have given the wife away.
Should have given her away, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that should be something like she tells him beforehand. You know, it's almost like Shiv in Succession once, you know, the night Tom and her get married, hey, by the way, we're open relationship.
Yeah. She told him on the
amateur.
wedding night, not the
Yeah.
night before.
So I don't know when this chick said that he couldn't keep the dog, but anyway, my thought was, man, does anybody ever regret buying a dog? And so I wanted to talk about most regrettable purchase. For me, it was 2019. The Ram deal had just ended for us. So I was out of a truck and I was looking for something, and I bought local, and I thought it was going to lead to an advertising deal. It never did.
Is it the Funk Master?
It wasn't the Funk, and I wish I would have kept the
Oh, I
Funk.
remember the Funk Master.
I would. That's one of my biggest regrets was selling the Funk.
Was that an Expedition or an Explorer?
It was an Expedition, and the reason I really sold it was because I didn't have a need for it because I was in those Ram trucks,
Yeah.
and it was paid for, but I was having to pay insurance on it.
So for those that don't know, it was a black, like murdered out on the outside, like black body, black rims.
Well, yeah, but it was black and red, the original. I wish I would have kept it the
The
original.
red inside, though, the
Yeah.
red interior.
So
Yeah.
you've got like an Eddie Bauer edition of the Expedition.
Yeah.
This was the Funkmaster Flex edition. It was all black and red.
I'd forgotten all about it, right, Star?
Flex, man.
But I
You'd
regret
be
selling that.
handing that down to Jack here
I
in a
know.
few days.
What year was it?
Oh,
It was like a 17, right? 16 or 17? Or was it older than that?
no, it was older than that. It was, I think, a 12.
Oh, a 12.
Yeah, I think. But I do regret selling that. But anyway, I bought right before, in 2019, and right before the pandemic, I sold because I was so pissed that they didn't do advertising. Because I continued to put these packages together. Guy just really led me on. And so out of principle, I sold. Well, then we go into the pandemic, and nobody can buy new cars. And I lost a shit ton of money on that car by reselling it. And if I would have waited, I would have made that additional amount on top because there was such a shortage.
Yeah, I remember that. Not
So-
the financial choice, but I remember what you bought there now.
Yeah, and it was a cool, like, I really liked the truck that I was in,
Yep.
but out of principle, I sold it, and it cost me a lot of money.
Mine is car related too. So when I was in school at Jacksonville State, one reason it took me so long to get through Jacksonville State is I actually worked like legit jobs when I was in school. I'm not talking, and I don't mean to, that sounded bad. I don't mean to disrespect. I meant like jobs in my field of study. I wasn't like waiting tables. Those are legit jobs. But what I meant by that was actual, like in my field of study, in my career.
Me too, same thing.
Yeah, and I was working for a commercial radio station, Alabama 100, which was a country station. And I actually had invested, I had enough money that I had invested in a marketing company, in a media marketing company at that time. So I had a pretty good income flow for a college student. And apparently had worked my, I don't remember this, but it worked my credit score to the point that I could lease a vehicle, which is pretty rare in college because I don't know, I mean, most college kids aren't leasing a vehicle.
No, I would think that would be almost like renting a car at 25.
Yeah, so I'm leasing a vehicle. It was a Ford Explorer. It was a two-door white Ford Explorer. And I had just leased it, and I got a job offer from Birmingham that led to eventually to me leaving school. But I just started leasing this vehicle, so I was
Back and forth.
I was dumb and naive. I should have found a way out of the lease. I don't know how you do that because it's the only vehicle. I think I've only leased one other vehicle in my
Get the
life.
car stolen.
There's that possibility. That was discussed at one
You
point,
have to be friends with the dealer. Go in there and try to get him to help you.
which I was not. I was just a college student. So guys, you know, in a lease you get normally like 15, 18,000 miles a year, which was not a problem. I was just going from school to Anniston. That was not putting any miles on it. But then I had to start going from Jacksonville to Birmingham every day, Jacksonville to Birmingham and back every day. When my lease was up, my 36,000 mile vehicle had 86,000 miles on it.
Oh
That's
no,
not good.
Brown.
That's too much.
Oh, what was the overage? I mean,
It's like a dime a mile that you go over. So you'd have to do the math. So what's a dime?
I'm cringing.
Let's say 50,000 miles.
$500? No,
No, 5,000 bucks. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's $5,000. Well, it's not that
Ain't
bad.
good, but hell, you can buy a beat up, beater for $5,000.
If I had done my homework, I probably, I was just like, I got money. I'm not going to worry about it. I mean, I was in college. I didn't know what money was. So yeah, I drove back and forth from Anniston to Jacksonville, or from Jacksonville to Birmingham. And when I went to turn that lease in, and they looked at the odometer, they were like, I don't know if we've ever seen one this far over. And, so I had to stroke them a check for $5,000. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, or whatever it was. It might not have been $5,000, but I remember it was a dime a mile. I remember that vividly, and I was somewhere in the neighborhood of 50,000 miles over.
When I have leased, Bo, our friend, I bug him all the time. I'll call him. I'm like, hey, now how many miles again? Because I'm now approaching, 8,000. Just rolled over to 8,000. Jim, it's no big deal. It's not till whatever number. Then I'll forget. I'm like, Bo, I just went over 10,000. What's the lease agreement again?
Yeah.
He's like, Jim, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So I bug him every time.
Well, it drove
him
me
all the
crazy
time
because
about
the
it.
next time I leased, like every month, I'd be, oh God, I am at, I'm at 1,800 miles already this month. I gotta slow this down. I can't drive this one to the beach. We gotta take Jennifer's car to the beach. And I'm like, it was just wearing me out because I'd burned myself so bad on that other one. I
Does it
decided
work
to
like in a
release it.
2-year lease? Does it work where if you go way under the first year,
It's total.
Okay.
It's total miles when you
okay.
turn it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's miles at the end of the lease. Yeah, they don't like keep up with it. But it's been a long time since I've leased a car. I started buying after that.
Well, it's a purchase of a vehicle for me, and it's only because a friend was involved, a church friend was involved, and it was Maggie that did it. She wanted out of the minivan that we had bought, which was another fiasco. These are the only 2 cars that we've ever paid upfront cash all the way, no car payment, nothing.
Oh, so you just walked in and plunked cash in for it?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So we did.
Well, you're in a good spot then. You got an automatic equity.
We are, Brown.
Yeah.
Unless you wreck the minivan and it doesn't get totaled, then you got to repair that issue once out of the minivan.
That is a variable.
Yeah. That's what we call it.
Now I'm
Curveball.
friends with my insurance guy, so I feel like my insurance guy would total, this table if I wanted him to. Golfing buddy. But the second one, the next thing she bought, Brown, I think she hated it the moment she drove in, but like me, she did not want to tell this guy no. And his job.
For a car?
This guy, and I can't remember the name of the car. Gosh, it was a
Studebaker.
It was an SUV-like little vehicle, and he found it for her. That's what he does for a living. Goes to these auctions, and he found it for her used, and we paid a sum of cash, and she hated it the day she got it.
The day she rode off the lot?
The day she got it. No, he delivered it to us. The only upside. And
Here's your piece. Here's your car.
and it never broke or anything, but she never liked it, so there was no joy in it at all. And then I started asking around, and she convinced me. I let her do all this. She talked to the guy, and he had convinced her that, as a church friend, he had convinced her he'd get her a good deal on it.
Right.
And then when she didn't like it, so I started asking, we have friends in the business. I started asking, and he was like, how much did you pay? And I think we paid $3,000 more than what that guy could have got me one for less mileage like that.
He was
Sucker.
This is such a Dunaway movie.
And I was
isn't it?
like, geez. So not a fan of that guy.
You mentioned real quick, Rockstar, before you do yours, you mentioned get the car stolen, whichever one of you said that. Honest to goodness, one of the salespeople on the lot where I had to turn the car back in told me, he was like, man, if you talk to me, he goes, I can tell you the exit in Atlanta where you park it with the keys in it and it will disappear. And I was like, are you a car salesman? You're telling me this? He was so serious. I'd never met the guy in my life.
Do you remember the exit?
No, I don't, but he did. He told me.
Put more miles on it to go to Atlanta.
Yeah, but he did tell me. He's like, I could have told you, man, the exit in Atlanta where you could park and leave your keys in it and that thing disappears. All right, buddy. Appreciate you coming.
Yeah.
I was like,
When you need the next one. When you hitchhike back to Birmingham.
such a random thing.
Well, since we're doing cars, I had one of my first ones that I had to fully pay for was a 2010 Acadia, And I had saved up all this money. I was like, now I can finally make car payments by myself. And
I remember you having that. It was black, right?
right.
Yep.
And
It was a piece of shit, wasn't it?
by the end of the time when it was fully paid for, I think it was the month of October. I don't know the year. It was 2016. I was fully paid for. Like, you got to notice, like, your car is yours. You fully paid for it. Then
That's when it falls apart.
the gas pedal started shaking, and then it kept saying on the screen, service required, maintenance, steering wheel lock up, something, and the steering wheel would lock up, and during driving, and you'd have to brake, and then so we were going to a Black Jacket show. Where I was driving to Chattanooga to Huntsville for a doubleheader for a Queen show, and I had Mark Leonard, the drummer, with me. I wasn't necessary to the show. I was in one song, but if the drummer was gone, it was a problem. My car stalled 3 times on the way on the interstate to Huntsville. So I was like, I got it to work. No, I took it to service. They charged me $1,200. Said, this is something with your transmission. It's fixed now. Luckily,
Wait, the steering wheel was locking up to do with your
yes,
transmission?
It was.
I don't know anything about cars, Rockstar. Those two don't go together.
Well, so I paid it, like,
Jimmy
all right, good,
Mechanic.
and it ran fine home. I think about a week later, I drove it to work, and it was making a weird noise. On the way home, thank God I lived in those apartments by where we worked, and it was just a straight shot to my apartment. And I am, just before I'm crossing over the valley by Sammy's and everything, it does it again where it won't let me drive over 5 miles an hour. And there's plumes of smoke coming from, like, whoever's behind me can't see. And I'm doing this, and I'm going, I'm not
You're
gonna.
spraying from mosquitoes.
Yes, and I'm shaking the cars, all these beeping noises, and I get it to my apartment and park it. And I'm a car guy. I was like, I'm gonna let it just rest for a second.
Yeah, cool down.
Don't drive tonight. Just tomorrow morning, start her up, and it will be fine. Just eat something at the apartment tonight for dinner. Came in, hit the start button, nothing. And then they came by and said it's completely totaled. There's no.
Holy crap!
Well, there's nothing we can fix. We'll give you $500 for it. And I was like,
Yeah.
I own it now. By
Sound
way.
like the
It's fully paid for.
engine locked up.
It was something, and I kept saying, like, well, it's making a noise. Well, it doesn't make it when we're there. I was like, of course it doesn't, but dude, like, the steering wheel locks up while I'm driving it, and I can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
How long could you own it at that point? Like,
2011 to 2016, 5 years.
Yeah. God,
no,
for
I
some
mean, like,
reason, I think
own
Yeah, once you
it
got out
outright.
If it stopped in October, the full final pay was October.
It was November this
December,
happened?
January
Yeah.
is when it started.
Oh, it
That's the way
sucks.
it's like they build them that way.
I know.
Just to do that.
But I will never own another. And my wife had the same thing. Hers was like 2009, and I was like, "Wow, I used to have a car like this. It's gonna die." And she had an apartment. She was sharing an apartment, and it wouldn't start. Just one day, it just wouldn't start. And they came out and looked at it and said, "This is no. We'll give you."
So don't get an Acadia?
It may have been
Yeah,
an
don't-
what I'm
Arcadia.
saying.
The one that, now that I think about it, it may have been an Arcadia.
Yeah, it was great for about a year and a half.
You know, occasionally we do events
Yeah.
and have to wear tuxes. So I thought I bought a tux, and I've never really worn it. Oh, I'm sorry, that was your story.
That was Lance's regrettable
3
purchase.
times.
3 times. That's better than renting.
I did when you bought the tux, Jimmy Fomo. I was like,
Of
should
course.
I buy a
I like
tux too?
tuxes.
I mean, if we're gonna be wearing these tuxes all the time, should
Well,
I
I mean,
buy
we were
one
doing
too?
a lot of events back then. Now, there was only one that called for the tux, but I just assumed that we were going to be doing more like that.
Yeah, we're about to launch into the tux world. Yeah. But I even mentioned to Maggie, I was like, what do you think, Maggie? Should I go ahead and buy a tux? I mean, we're going to have to wear them a lot, probably over the next
God.
12 years.
I hate putting on a
She's
tux.
like, no, let's buy another car.
Surprise you and say, yeah, I got somebody at church who gets a good
great
deal on
deal.
the tux. Yeah.
That is the Mystery Fifth Hour. It is presented by McCurry Van and Car Rental. If you need a car, van, or truck, rent from McCurry. They are the local rental company you can depend on. All kinds of vehicles to choose from, including trucks, SUVs, and passenger vans. They make it easy to rent, get you in and out fast. They got locations in Athens, Muscle Shoals, Huntsville, and Coleman on 2nd Avenue Northwest. Reserve that rental today at 256-559-1003 or McCurryRentals.com. That's McCurryRentals.com. Please hit that thumbs up. Make sure you have subscribed to our YouTube channel and set your alerts if you have not already. We're live every single day, 9 to 1, but those alerts tell you when we're live on YouTube. And follow us on all social media at Next Round Live, at Next Round Live. Thank you for joining us for the Mystery Fifth Hour.